evening and welcome to the January 13th Zoning Board of Appeal meeting. Just for anybody new here, I will go over the procedures after I introduce our board members. To my far right is Jeff Sauer. To my right is Ken Scholes, who is the clerk. To my left is Ken Jarvinen, and to my far left is John Bowner. My name is Corrine Doherty. I am the chair, and from the planning department is our planning director, Brian Zacchelli. When the clerk calls your case, please proceed to the podium, present your case, and we will ask questions. We will go out to the audience for questions, and then we will deliberate and tell you your fate. So with that, we have minutes for, we have minutes for the December 2nd, 2024 meeting. Any comments or edits?
Madam Chair, I did not get a chance to review the minutes, so I would ask to hold.
Okay. To the next meeting?
Yeah.
Both sets of minutes?
Yeah, I didn't review any of them. Sorry, I did not realize they were there.
Okay.
No problem.
That's fine. Okay, so we will put those on the agenda for the January 27th meeting. So with that, Mr. Clerk, if you could read the first case.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First case is 48 North Putnam Street, zoned R1. Request a finding under Table 1 of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to expand an existing non-conforming use as a personal training facility into the remainder of the building, where currently only half of the building is allowed to operate as a gym. The request is made by Ralph Gregorio, docket 24-5083. Madam Chair, we are in receipt of a letter from Mr. Gregorio dated January 7th, stating he's waiting for the engineer to finish the plans for the parking. He can't make it to the meeting, and he wishes to continue to February 24th meeting.
Do I have a motion to continue?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to continue to February 24th.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Next on the docket.
Our next case is 180, 182 Pine Street and 75 Sylvan Street, zoned R1 for Pine Street and Industrial 2 for the Sylvan Street property. Request a variance to allow 8 two-bedroom residential units on a combined parcel comprising of 3 properties listed above, where 7.5 units are permitted, and to the extent necessary, a use variance to allow accessory residential use on a section of the parcel zoned Industrial 2. The request is made by Nancy McCann Esquire, docket 24-5089. Madam Chair, we are in receipt of a letter from Nancy McCann Esquire stating that she's waiting for town council input regarding the 75 Sylvan Street property to make sure it is a viable option that they can do the 8 units. They wish to continue to the January 27th meeting.
Do I have a motion to continue?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to continue this case to January 27th.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So our first order of regular business.
Our next case is 15 Oak Street. It's zoned R1. Request a finding under Section 3, Paragraph 12 of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to expand the existing single-family home into a duplex on a pre-existing non-conforming lot due to size. The request is made by Craig Hartwell, docket 24-5091.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Excuse me. My name is Craig Hartwell, and I'm here on behalf of EXMA Properties LLC, which is the current owner of 15 Oak Street. We are respectfully requesting a finding that the proposed modifications to the structure and the change of use from a single-family to a two-family is not substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure to the neighborhood. We have submitted, in support of our application, we have submitted the proposed plans, and also we've also submitted the property cards for the abutting property, or the nearby properties on Oak Street that are already designated as multifamily properties as well. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Hartwell, you're an attorney, correct? And you're representing the applicant?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the applicant here with you?
Yes, here, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And if we ask questions, please proceed to the microphone, but we'll start asking now. Jeff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions at this time.
Ken?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the new two-family is on the existing foundation that's in place now?
Yes, sir.
No changes to that?
The foundation, no, sir.
Okay, no further questions.
Ken?
Also, the height's not going to change, right?
The overall height, I believe, changes 2 feet. It
And
goes
just-
from,
Okay.
yeah, it is going up to 26 feet, 7 inches, but it's still below the required 30 feet.
Okay, so you're adding a dormer.
Essentially, at the
Okay.
end there, it's gonna raise it up a little bit there,
I got you. All right,
towards
thanks.
the front.
Yeah,
Let's have him go to the microphone.
Could you go?
Sorry,
That's
the
okay.
proposed dormers are too low, so the proposed change is to make the living space more livable.
yep, but you're still within your requirement height, so,
Correct.
yep. Good.
John?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you tell me how many bedrooms will be in each unit?
Is it 3 and 3? 3 and 3, I believe. Right.
3 bedrooms each? And Madam Chair, through you, I'd like to go to Brian.
Yes.
Brian, what's the required parking for 3-bedroom units in a multifamily?
Yeah, unless you're in the center, which we're not, it's 2. So 2 spaces per unit.
2 per unit. Two per apartment or 2 per bedroom?
No,
Per bedroom, you have to have a car per bedroom.
Oh,
Can you go to that?
You're part of the public.
I'm just clarifying the law.
hold on.
Well, Brian's looking that up. Can you tell me the square footage of each of the units?
It's 1,000. It's almost 1,300 square feet each unit.
1,300 each, approximately?
Yeah.
Approximately 13 each. And I see on your plan that, a new driveway is proposed for the left side of the building.
Yeah, the whole-
There's currently no curb cut there?
Where's that?
Where the second driveway is? There's
Yeah,
no-
the second driveway, because the
Can you
good
identify yourself, please?
thing- The good
You can
thing,
just
Oh.
say your name for the record.
oh, my name is Eugene
Eugene?
Jalia. Jalia. You know me.
I do, I
Yeah.
guess. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I do?
do the house to the
Okay.
to the other guy in Danvers, on the side of your house.
Oh,
I help you the
okay.
door.
You know what, Madam Chair, I'm going to recuse myself from this case.
Okay.
I'm
We
sorry,
will
I did
mark
not
that.
realize that.
Excuse me, very quickly. So the multifamily, it's 2 spaces for each dwelling unit, plus 1 space for each bedroom over 2, so for a max of 3 spaces per dwelling unit. So in this case, if it's 3 bedrooms, that's 6 spaces
For each?
total. Each unit has to have at least 2, but because it's more than 2 bedrooms,
Okay.
there's another. So it's 3 spaces for 1 unit and 3 spaces for the other, for a total of 6 spaces.
And Madam Chair, I hate to do this, but I should have recused myself at the beginning.
Yes.
I think you have to go to the applicant to see if they're okay with only 4 voting members.
Yes, there are only 4 voting members now because Mr. Boehner has recused himself. So I'm just alerting you to that fact. And before we begin with any deliberation or even going out to the audience, I'm looking at your plan, And Mr. Zakelli just said that you need to have 6 parking spaces, and I believe that your plan, having a driveway on one side and a new curb cut with the second driveway, will only yield you 4 spaces. Is that correct?
4 total spaces, Madam Chair?
Yes.
This has on 2 sides. We can do these sides too.
Am I not,
The proposal has 2 full driveways with parking in them, that you would be able to fit far more than 2 cars per driveway.
well, how do you propose? I see
parking
that,
layout.
I see that you have 2, you want to increase, you want to have like a second driveway. So you want one on one side of the house and one on the other. So what you're saying is that you can park more than 2 cars in each one of those driveways?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And the driveways run the full length of the house. to the
Okay.
back of the lot.
so you would have tandem parking then, correct? So in other words, they would have to be behind one another in order for you to be able to enter or exit the driveway. So in other words, if you parked 4 cars,
Yep,
you wouldn't be able to, the car in front wouldn't be able to back out. So in other words, you would have to tandem like 2 or 3 on one side and then do the same on the other so that the cars would be able to get in and out of those driveways. Is that correct? Because it
Yes.
doesn't, the
Yes.
plan, even though you only have a few cars on each side, even though you're saying that there's room for more cars. So I want you to tell me how you plan on parking them on both of those driveways.
So it looks like the left side driveway is 13 feet wide,
Right.
so it's pretty hard to fit 2 cars next to each other.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I'm
you're saying they
saying,
have to be tandem,
They have to be
Well-
stacked.
right.
right? In the,
I'm sorry, I meant stacked.
no, you're saying it correctly. I'm just wondering if you look on the right side here, is that meant to be parked on this back portion here? So you could put 2 cars, like you could park
the
them
back
this way.
L, right.
Okay,
And then
So
you
you've
can
got
get
the
that, so
L
you could at least
there.
get some there. The problem seems to be getting 3 cars on the left-hand side, not in tandem, which is what,
Correct.
yeah.
correct.
Which you can't do.
So yeah, it looks like on the left side, you're doing 1, 2, 3 for your 3 cars.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, that can be problematic.
Now, and have you spoken to your neighbors about this project?
Yeah, I spoke to the side neighbor, yes.
Okay, so the neighbor who will be most impacted is if you're looking out the front door, the neighbor to your right, because
On the right
obviously.
side, on the right side.
Because that curb cut will be now, instead of like a lawn and like a side yard, they're now gonna have like a second driveway there. It also seems as if your property is, because we always go by to do a site view. It seems as if your property is a little bit higher. So I'm wondering what the ramifications will be to your neighbor to the right if you put in a driveway now, as far as water runoff and everything else. And on the other side of your neighbor, they have that little street or kind of like roadway that leads to where the old Danvers hardware storage units used to be. So again, have you spoken with your neighbor? Have they expressed any concerns?
Not to the left, because I don't see anyone there. On the right side, yes, I spoke to him.
Okay, and what is your neighbor on board with this project? Do they have any issues?
No.
Okay, all right,
Suppose
because,
if they're not here.
yeah, I suppose. Again, I do have concerns, and I have a question for Mr. Sekeli. So say we grant this, and then to get an additional curb cut, what's the process for that?
That is a process with DPW. It's called a street opening permit.
Yeah,
They're basically just gonna make sure that it's not too close to either another intersection or, but generally, it's kind of a filling out a form. It's not a exhaustive process, it's not a long process,
okay,
but it's a street opening permit with DPW.
okay. So chances are, they would grant that.
I would, as of now, yeah, I would say it's likely.
Okay. Okay, all right. So there's no real chance if we granted it that they would say, yeah, no, we're not giving them that curb cut, and then what would we do?
No, yeah, I don't see that's happening. I think, though, where you're going potentially is that we had a similar situation with 48 North Putnam having to do with this triple stacked. So it's different when it's commercial, with the idea that this is one, it's not, so the left-hand side here, it's still one unit, meaning they all
It's
know
one
each other,
family.
it's one family, so we don't, the bylaw doesn't care about that.
Oh, no, no, no.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. What I'm always concerned about, especially on this side street, is it's too difficult to park in the driveway, so I'll just park out in the street, and we have all these cars on the street, and on, trash day and snow removal day, it causes a nightmare on that street for all the other residents.
Fair?
Anyway, okay, anyone from the audience have any questions? Yes, please go to the microphone.
I think it's Kenny.
Excuse me?
Is that Ken up there? Looks like Ken Jarvin, is it?
Oh, yeah, yeah, it is. That's,
What's up? Marshall
Oh.
Smith,
oh, yeah, yeah. Hi, Marshall.
70-year resident, 40-year landlord. I've built 10 Oak Street, 12 Oak Street, 13 Oak Street, and, excuse me, not 13 Oak Street. I've remodeled half the street. The house that you're talking about, number one, I come from a family of firefighters and police. You can't get a fire unit down that street, period. And I get hauled out of there regularly now by ambulances because I'm fighting other diseases. But you can't get a piece of fire apparatus down there. You can't get an ambulance down that street. The second thing is human nature is, and they did it, they tried to do it across the street. They just put a curb cut in by themselves. They just bought the house, put a curb cut in. I fought them and fought them and fought them. As I did the dump behind me for 45 years, for 40 years I fought them. But across the street, they just decided to put curb cuts in. It created a master problem because human nature is if my front door is there and my driveway's over there, I'm gonna park right there and walk to my front door. And you can't get up and down Oak Street at all anyways. If a trash truck wants to go down there, it's not happening. Fire truck wants to happen, not happening. Ambulance, it's not happening. And then I don't know what happened to the laws, but is there not a percentage of land that you can occupy on that land as far as home dwelling? Because as a two-family, you need to have so much space, and you can only occupy so much space per square footage based on the size of the lot. I own one of my lots, it's 5,000 square feet, okay? You can't put, unless you're gonna tell me I can put 2 or 3 dwellings on there now, because the laws have changed since I've done a bunch of these two-families in town.
I mean, you're talking about lot percentage?
Yes,
I don't think that is apparent for, in the R1. It's not a calculation that's used in the R1 zoning district.
are you sure of that?
I'll make double sure right now.
Please make sure of that. The next thing is how do you access? Is it up, down? Is it 2 stories? How is the second floor of the second condo, or how is the other part of the dwelling going to be accessed? Because according to my rules, I was told, which I see all over town now, I don't understand, and maybe you can help me, but everybody's putting second and third floors and putting open staircases on them. Every time I tried to do it, I was told the staircase needed to be covered because of snow and ice. And now the planet is in Danvers is just developing like crazy. And to think that you're going to put a shed on Oak Street is literally someone's not thinking correctly, because you can't do it, especially at 13 Oak Street, 15 Oak Street. You just can't. It's too small. And it's gonna restrict the street ferociously, because the street is restricted as it is.
So the only, the only residential use in all of town that has a max lot coverage is an assisted living facility, which is 40%. But it's not applicable in the table of dimensions for any residential use.
Okay. I just wanted to check that because it used to be.
Excuse me, what was the property address on your street that has the illegal or the?
Well, across the street, so there's 13 Oak Street, they're directly across the street. They put in an illegal curb cut,
Okay,
okay? And I called the town, well, actually, I called the police. They came down, they said, you can't do that. And there was a big, huge battle, and the police had to come down. And the town, the Public Works had to come down and take the sign that she put up, the woman that previously owned the house. And, you know, eventually the cops gave up and they sold the house.
okay. Is
Across
the
the
curb
street
cut?
from me, and it's a single family. They could park 40 cars over there. But that was one of the issues, is where are these cars gonna park? There's no way in hell anybody is gonna park next to their, you know, they're gonna park right next to their front door. That's it.
Okay.
And to tandem them, that's absurd, because why is anybody going, oh, okay, well, let me know who's in, who's last, and to work that out. I know that because I had to work that out at 10 and 12, 10 and 14 Oak Street. But the same thing, it's the same issue. It's about trying to maneuver cars around and totally disregard the neighborhood and the street, and especially a fire, you know, like I said, my brothers are firefighters, policemen, and they look at it and it's like, you gotta be kidding me. You can't put a shed on Oak Street. That's all I.
It is a tight street.
It's a tight street, and the thing of it is something dangerous happens, and it's regularly happening. To me, I can't get equipment down the street. So,
Okay, okay, thank you. Yes, you may. And then, Mr. Bradstreet, you can go after. As soon as he addresses, you can go next.
I'll be brief, just to address the parking situation. You'll notice from the plans, the entranceways for both units are towards the back of the property. The idea being to draw cars into the property so that they won't be parking by the street, because that would give them the furthest distance possible to walk to their door.
that driveway is opposite my street. Opposite my driveway. I've had 5 accidents. I've had 5 people brought to court because of people parking at the end of the driveway he's talking about.
Okay,
But the street on this plan.
one at a time,
If you
please.
look, you'll see the street is actually to the bottom of the plan, and the cars will park closer towards the entranceway for both units, which are further towards the back of the lot. So
Okay.
furthest away from the street. And concerning the walk-up entranceway, that is a covered entranceway to the second floor, so that does comply.
Okay. Mr. Bradstreet?
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. One of the comments was made about the parking on Oak Street. They've already had an issue with the parking on Oak Street off of Locust Street because of how narrow it is. And as he said, it's difficult you can't park on one side, and it narrows the street to start with. And emergency vehicles would have a very difficult, if not impossible, time coming or going either direction on the street. If the abutters are notified, do they send a letter, or do you accept the gentleman's notice that there's no problem? In the past, I think the question's been brought up about if they were notified, did they contact the board, either, I don't know, written or by phone call?
Oftentimes, they'll either call Mr. Zakelli, they'll send emails or letters into the planning department, which we read into the record if we receive them. I was just asking, obviously, if people have concerns, usually they show up. I'm not sure what the issue is, but again, usually when there are concerns, people do show up, or they'll take the time to at least send an email letting us know what their concerns are.
Okay, I'm just a little disappointed, and I understand your explanation, but
Yeah.
disappointed. I think some of the residents in town might feel frustrated and just what's the use? I'll let it go at that. It's a narrow lot, and I can just picture, as he stated, cars are gonna park where they want, no matter what. And for plowing the street, where's the snow gonna go? I mean, it's a lot of the little things that just kind of accumulate and make a project like this more of an issue than anyone would like to see. Danvers is busy enough as it is. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes, would you like to go to the podium?
State your name.
State your name for the record,
Thank you, Madam
please.
Chair. John Bowner, Precinct 4, owner of 10 Greenleaf Drive, and I'm very familiar with Oak Street. I also own a property on Oak Street. Through you, I would ask if the applicant has considered potentially making these two-bedroom units, therefore limiting the parking requirement down by one vehicle. So that would be my question. Thank you.
Okay. Once he responds, you can go back up with your second question.
Madam Chair, in the alternative, we would be willing to expand the parking area in the back, certainly to address the concerns, if that is a recurring concern that the board has. I don't think there's an appetite to reduce the number of bedrooms. You'd still have the same square footage that you'd be dealing with. You'd just be designating a room something else. The more practical response might be to add additional parking in the back if that's what the building commissioner would require. But you know, we're open to suggestions if there's stuff that, or changes to be made to the plan.
Well, how would you add more spaces?
Well, the property continues back quite a bit, so you could add driveway off the currently existing driveway as well. I mean, we're nowhere near the rear setbacks at this point.
So you're talking about like paving more of the backyard?
If it's a concern of the board that they would rather us add additional pavement to address parking concerns, we're willing to discuss it. I mean, it certainly seems, if it's that strong of a concern, we don't want to leave it settled. Or even add a condition that at the building commissioner's discretion, whether additional parking needs to be provided, and then we would provide it to his satisfaction.
Okay, all right, that's certainly a consideration. Mr. Bradstreet, do you have another comment or question?
Again, Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. I think it was stated that the new structure was going to be the same footprint as the old, or maybe I misunderstood.
Correct.
Yes,
What
no,
was
no,
said.
that's what he said.
I think it's non-conforming now. Is it gonna make it more non-conforming? Is that the way the system works, or do you stop at non-conforming and that's as far as you can go?
As far as the setbacks, it isn't any more detrimental.
Okay, so
And
if it
that's
was allowed,
basically
you could
what
have
we're
6
concerned.
stories then, if that were allowed.
Yeah, it's only 30 feet allowed.
Okay.
Height.
Well, again, it's a very busy project. Thank you.
Okay, let's begin our deliberations. Jeff?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm not concerned with the increase in the height of the building or the design changes to the building. Looking at the before and after, I would determine that the building is probably not any more detrimental than the existing building, but I am unhappy with the parking. And I think stacking 3 cars would be more detrimental because people won't stack them, they'll park them out in front, and that will be a detriment. So I'm a no on this plan, but I'm not a no on the building. I would just like to see a plan with 3 delineated parking spaces for each unit. So at the present time, I'm a no.
Ken?
Yeah, and I have the same thoughts as Jeff. I just think you're asking for trouble on the left side of the building there with that narrow driveway. So as far as this plan sets, I'm okay with the building. The building's fine with me. I have no problem with that, because you're not changing the square footage of the cement. So I'm not okay with the parking on the left side. I think we need to make some changes to that, so I'm a no on this plan.
Ken?
Yeah, I think the parking's doable. I think on the left side, it's one family. I mean, it's going to be the same family, so I think they can jockey it. I do it at my house. I have 3 vehicles. We have 3 vehicles, and we have to move them around. It works. It's just a tandem. So, and there's a bunch of double families and triple families in that neighborhood. So I'd vote for this, but I would like to, I mean, if it is possible, of course, you could do something better with the parking, that would be good. But I don't think I'd be a no if you didn't. So I would approve this.
Okay. And I would not approve of this because of the parking situation. I have actually driven down Oak Street. I don't know what day of the week it is, but on trash day, and it's a nightmare trying to get down that street. And especially with the big barrels, the recycling barrels, all of the cars. So I'm not a no completely on the project. I'm more in line with Jeff, that you need to do something with this parking so that we have everything delineated, and we also need, you know, I guess, a better plan, for lack of more clarity. But we need a better plan before we're willing to kind of vote this project in.
Understood, Madam Chair. So with the chair's permission, could we continue to the next meeting and allow us time to
Yes.
prepare additional plans?
Yes.
Having heard your concerns and the concerns of the abutters about the parking, I think that'll give us plenty of time to address that on the plan, and we'll actually delineate each of the spots. So the 6 spaces will be shown, each according to their required dimensions, on the next iteration that you get.
Okay.
That'd be good.
All right,
Very-
that sounds
So-
great. Now,
Wait.
yes?
Very quick, so if you were to be continued to the next meeting, which is the 27th, we would need revised plans by Tuesday, the 21st. Do you think, today's the 13th, so we're talking a week and a day. Is that a reasonable timeline for you? No problem.
Okay. So you want to continue
next
until
meeting.
the
Yes, ma'am.
27th?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I propose that we continue this case to our meeting of January 27th.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will see you in a few weeks.
Thank you, Madam Chair and fellow members.
It'll be faster than you realize.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to, now that I'm back, to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, Danvers.
Danvers.